Dennis is chomping at the bit to get in here next. He's going to jump on board with the Shane's Rib Shack Football in Focus on a Thursday night. Had Country Dan Collins on talking about the ACC Basketball Book of Fame. I'm bringing Dennis White next. We get Dennis on board for the big game coming up on Friday night. We got Eastern Guilford and Northeast Guilford. We got NC State and Clemson coming up here pretty soon, Dennis. It's ready to kick off not too far from now.
Tosh Board is ready to pay NC State back for a slacking they took.
Yeah, 37-13 a couple years ago.
Yeah, and I know you're a Wolfpack fan, right?
I followed the Wolfpack for many years.
Well, I don't blame you for being a Pack. You know, I'm a Gamecock man as well, and we want you all to help us. If you beat the Tigers, that'd be a straw in our hat as a Gamecock.
I was telling the manager, Paul, earlier about the Shane's Rib Shack and the kid from Western Guilford, Clayton Stadnick, who was just named the Southeastern Conference Offensive Lineman of the Week. Out of Shane, he came here to Shane's Rib Shack. He was out of Western Guilford, South Carolina Gamecocks, starting center, and again named the Southeastern Conference Offensive Lineman of the Week.
Yeah, that's big.
That's huge.
That's real big. When I saw that, Andy, I was excited. I was elated because those was guys that we talked with. And my father came that night.
Yeah.
Mother came. And we had a nice celebration with the Stagnick family. And those are kids that you know for a while, you know, and watch them grow and mature. And when I saw that big number 54 at center, I was so happy. I said, that's one of our kids right there.
Sure is. It's good to see. Good to see. And
sat right here in this seat.
Sat right here at the Shane's Rib Shack, right where you're at right now, where I'm at right now, and talk with us. Eastern Guilford Wildcats had them in tonight. Had Heath Justice come in, had Marlon Petty, and had Josh Edwards. Josh kind of reminded me of Little Johnny. Remember Little Johnny, I think it was, from High Point Central last year?
High Point Central, that's right.
Arm wrestled that little kid from High Point Central. That kid was unreal.
Exactly. Did you beat him? I think he got you. It was
I think he tied.
Sure did. Yeah.
Had a lot of ties last year.
Yeah, you had a lot of ties.
Wrestling action, yeah. But what about Josh? I look forward to seeing Josh tomorrow. It's always fun to talk to the kids here and then see them when they get on the field.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And those are the three gentlemen that Coach Doug Robinson talked highly about during the summer when we did our 15-15, when I had the opportunity to interview the new coach. And everything he said back in July is coming to pass because of 3-0 right now for Eastern Guilford Wildcats.
Solid start.
Yeah.
So you taking Clemson or you taking NC State tonight?
I think I would go with Clemson, even though I just like the Tosh Board, Sammy Watkins.
Last year's game, the year before, it was 37-13. State won that one in Raleigh. Last year, though, it was like 62-48.
It was a great game down in Death Valley.
Offense,
That's a place to play right there in Death Valley down in Clemson. When they run down the hill, they're ready for football.
What about the surprises, disappointments so far in the season? What are some of your surprises that have been?
I think the surprise has been the gentleman we're talking about now, Eastern.
I think so.
Eastern has been, and Southern would be on the end of disappointment. We had so much higher thoughts for Gillespie and what Southern can do, but Eastern have came in and stole the show. Doug Robinson said that this is a new day, and certainly it's a new day, a day that these fans are going to.
And sometimes people will talk about it, you're thinking, okay, and then they're actually doing it.
Right.
They're doing it down there.
And then they always talk to you every year in the beginning when we're doing these preseason. What do you think about these coaches' comments? And you always say, well, the coach is the one that got to say this about his team. And this year, when you and I talked about Doug Robinson, I said that he's saying that he's going to show people something. And
he really did.
He is really doing what he said, John.
Yeah, I was at Southern Guilford game. I attended that first game, and I was impressed, especially by the way that Eastern played in the second half, because the first half, Southern had the lead, and Eastern came back and got ahead, but then they didn't give the lead back up. Once they got ahead, they didn't let Southern come back again. They kept the lead, they won the game.
That's right, because I remember I was at Smith, and you called and at halftime, and when you gave the report on how many yards Gillespie had at that point, I think it was
147 at the end of the first quarter. If he I told one of the players earlier, if he would have kept that pace up, he would have had close to 600 yards in the game. But they didn't allow him to get barely another 100 yards the rest of the entire game.
Wow. And Andy, you and I talked about Heath Justice when I went to see Heath Justice over at the Jamboree, and I came back and you said, and we talked about give him a couple more years, and so his couple of years he's putting his dues in now because he was a sophomore and he was taking some hits in that Jamboree and making some good passes, but now I think this kid is matured. I think he's a real deal.
He's bound and determined, a lot of determination.
Yeah. Him and Jake Simpson, those guys have taken their teams from zero to heroes.
Yeah, you think about some other surprises, talking about Eastern Guilford 3-0, a couple of teams that are 2-0, kind of surprises too. But you talk about them, Smith and Southwest Guilford.
Yeah, Smith and Southwest Guilford. Smith has won his last 2 ball games, so they're 2-0 from that perspective. And Southwest with the new coaches, both teams have new coaches, and I'm very excited about the future of Smith and the future of Southwest. Whenever you bring new coaches into new programs, no one thought they was going to excel like Eastern. I would have thought Southwest or perhaps Smith would have been a little more sharper than Eastern, because Eastern is one of the teams that always went at the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah.
And now they get notoriety like they never had before.
Yeah.
I talked to a gentleman that is an old Eastern alumni. I told him we're going to be on tomorrow night. So I never seen you guys there before, I said, well, and I tried to play it in. I said, well, we do the game of the weeks, and so now this is what we're doing, the game of the week. Yeah.
Well, I was down to the first game that Friday night because it got rained out. And then we were at Brimsley following that. So definitely got the interview with Coach Robertson after the game and did some things like that. But Smith 2-2 and then Southwest 2-2. And Smith, if they win tomorrow night, they got a good shot to win. They're playing Southern Guilford. They could be like 3-2. They've already won as many games, I believe, as Smith won the entire year last year.
Exactly. They only won one last year.
One game last year,
Southern Alamatch, and that was the only one they won. And Andy, that can be certainly building up for a good game because next they play the boys from over on Lincoln Street, and they'll be coming in. Dudley will be coming in because they're on the bye week this week.
Right.
So Dudley will be coming in 4-0, and you go into 4-0 as Smith 3-2. That's going to bring fans out. That's going to bring everybody
so
out.
Smith plays tomorrow night, then they take the following week off, I guess.
Yeah, and then they'll be ready for the host of boys over on Lincoln Street. I'm surprised at Page Pirates. Page is the team that I had going in to win the 4A Metro. They still can come back and do it, but I had them at least winning 9 ball games this year.
It's going to be tough tomorrow night. They've got East Forsyth. Going to be really tough tomorrow night.
Yeah, so that's the big surprise. And another surprise to me
is NC-A&T, the Aggies.
Wow,
what about them?
What about them? The Aggies beat top-ranked schools. They beat Appalachia State. You can't go in and beat Appalachia State under no circumstances. And then they came back and played a tough Elon team. So A&T hadn't even gotten the MEAC yet, and they're starting off with that defense. They have a great defense. And, a lot of those guys, and if we talked to them, we knew those guys that came from James B. Dudley, came from Page, came from local schools. And I think that's the big thing that have helped A&T. They start recruiting in their own backyard.
A&T 2-0, like you say, excellent defense and really strong at the specialty spots, too. The kickoff returns and punt returns and defensive backs and interception returns. Just really good at the skill positions.
Yeah, and me.
Not overpowering offense, but solid throughout.
Right. The MEAC as well as the CIAA, they are getting a lot of our local kickers, a lot of local guys. One of the gentlemen from High Point Central, he's at Winston-Salem State.
That's right.
And Will Johnson.
Yeah.
And he's doing an outstanding job at
What I can understand about them, though, the first week Will kicked. He went 3 for 3, I think, against Pembroke. They got beat by Pembroke.
Yeah.
25, 23, something like that on the Thursday. That was a Thursday night game. They come back the next week and they played Lynchburg, University of Virginia Lynchburg. Beat them like 68 to something. But Will didn't kick that game. A sophomore kicker kicked that game. A kid out of Providence Grove named Suarez. Suarez kicked it. I didn't know they had 2 kickers on the team. They must rotate him every other week, I hope. I hope Will keeps getting a chance.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and that's what a lot of the MEAC does. Sometimes they alternate the punter and the field goal.
So the punter may punt one week and kick the next week?
I got you. You're exactly right. That's what they did with A&T. The gentleman that did the field goal kicking, he did the punt last week, and they switched. So, and that's just like Coach Gillespie told me that that's the way it is at Page with his kicker, and they both are just even, and so they can share duties of punt and place kicking as well.
I think Northwest Guilford's similar, too. They've got the one kid, Hunter Law, another kid, Reed Victory.
That's right.
You don't know who's kicking one way or the other.
Right.
But they both kick extremely well.
Very versatile in the special team area because now, man, you can go to college on a scholarship just to kick field goals. 16-year, think of a 16-year career for one of the local guys here, then he's a long snapper, you know, and Ethan Albright.
Yeah.
So that was a special, and that's what we did with Eric Ebron. When I was a special team coach at Smith.
He was a long snapper?
He was a long snapper. And so one way or another, this kid...
Got into the pros somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
Was he pretty good at long snapping?
He was outstanding at long snapping.
Does he still do that at Carolina?
I don't think so.
But he's still got it up his sleeve. He needs to use it later.
He needs to use it later, yeah.
Take it to the pros. You never know. Other disappointments, let me give you a few of these real quick. A couple of high schools first. Western Guilford 0-4, Ragsdale 1-3.
Yeah, Ragsdale, you're exactly right, Andy.
I knew they were going to be down, but they're a little bit more down than I thought they would be.
Yeah, when Grimsley beat them, Andy, you was real surprised that you didn't know that Grimsley had what they had, and this, you know, a team like Grimsley, Ragsdale had enough just to squeak by a team like that, but it wasn't so. That we seen a totally different world of team. Yeah, I'm very disappointed in the Ragsdale because Ragsdale always had a 7-4 team.
Yeah, and they've got a situation now where they're playing tomorrow night against Southeast Guilford. Yeah. That's a non-conference game. It's going to be a very tough game to win. Southeast got big guys, big power team, big power running team. And you know when they get in the conference, they're going to have tough time against Central is extremely tough. Eastern Side's very tough. Northwest can be tough. That could be 4 more losses to go there. They could be in a situation. They've already lost 3, 4 more. That's 7 losses. They could be at a 4-7 record and maybe out of the playoffs.
You're exactly
which would be
right.
unheard of for Ragsdale.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Andy. You did the math exactly what I said.
I did it with my fingers, too, to be certain. Got to use the fingers.
Yeah, because I had it turned the other way around at 7-4, and now it looked like it can ebb and flow the other way. They can end up being 4-7. And Western Guilford, because
just trying to get a win somehow.
Yeah, trying to buy one, Jock. They're trying to get one in because last year
I had a guy call me on the phone. I think it was on Tuesday night. Called me Tuesday night. They were taking up donations trying to get money to help them buy a win. I said, I'll give you $50.
Yeah, they right now they can take one any way they get it.
Yeah.
They can be a trick or treat.
They got 0-4 Reynolds tomorrow night. RJ Reynolds out of Winston-Salem. They got to get a win somehow.
Yeah, they have to have a win. And that was almost like the Smith season.
Yeah.
Smith looked it was going down and going to be the same way. And they start buying some wins. And I'm quite sure the guys from overall friendly Western Guilford can find a couple of wins this year.
Hope so. What about Appalachian? 0-2, Wake Forest 1-2. Appalachian 0-2. I mean, Jerry Moore, they let him go and turn things around, change things up, and man, rough start for them.
And the Mountaineers, that's unheard of. They are not used to 0-2s because you're talking about national championships they've won. They won 2 in a row, and then the other opposite year, then they won another one. So you're talking about guys that's been well known in Armani Edwards, Dexter Coakley. You got guys that played with some big names coming from Appalachian State.
Dino Hackett, years
exactly.
ago.
That's right. That's exactly right. And
the coach at NC State, Dave Doran, said his favorite pro player when he was watching pro football as a kid, watching Dino Hackett. When Dino Hackett played for the Kansas City Chiefs.
Back in the days with the Chiefs. And for Appalachian
And how about those Chiefs, 2-0?
Yeah, well, and the Chiefs hurt
my feelings. I don't follow that close, but gosh, 2-0.
Yeah, they hurt my feelings
Beat the
last
Cowboys,
week. And they don't make me cry. I don't live TV here, and they don't make me cry. But my Cowboys lost, and by 1 point to the Chiefs, and it's one of those things.
The Chiefs are doing well right now under Reed. Doing a good job under Reed.
Outstanding job on Andy Reid. You're exactly right. That when Andy Reid left Philadelphia,
I think they're playing them tonight too. I think they may be playing Philadelphia in the next game. Isn't that crazy? Playing Philadelphia for a chance to maybe go 3-0, playing his old team.
Yeah, and the thing about it is you got this come by Mr. Kelly. Mr. Kelly came in from Oregon and turned. A lot of people didn't think he can step to the next level because sometimes when a collegiate coach step up to the pros, they struggle and go backwards. But he can be another Jimmy Jones. They came in from Miami, went to the Cowboys.
What about the Panthers 0-2?
And now you're talking about buying a win. They need to buy.
Ask everybody about that, trying to find some kind of answer. No one's had the answer. No one's had the conclusion, the solution. No one's had any help for them yet.
Yeah, you're exactly right, and they need some help and help.
And they're playing the Giants this week, and of all things, you hate to say it, but it really falls in the Giants' lap because Coach Tom Coughlin's brother just died this week, so the Giants, they'll be playing like crazy men this week for the coach.
Yeah, exactly right. And then you lost to Seattle 12-7, and then you had the game Buffalo beat. Consequently, what happened? You didn't
spend 2 Sundays watching those games.
Yeah,
I could have been out of there at halftime doing. Man, I stayed with.
And then like they had them. I mean, the one, especially against Buffalo, there is no way you're going to allow anybody to get behind you. The goal line is certainly your enemy. You protect that goal line at all costs. And I have never seen broken coverage like that in the NFL. You know, Stevie Wonder could have seen that pass coming, and the gentleman caught it and won the game.
Well, the Panthers tried to sign Ray Charles Jr. today. I don't know if they got the deal cut or not.
Yeah, they're going to need somebody, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
What about the Redskins? They're 0-2.
Yeah, Andy, that's your team, NFL team that you like, and RG3 is, I think the Redskin defense is playing decent, but not as good as it can play. And our offense, you know, RG3, he coming back off of that injury at the end of the season and rehab, and he doesn't look bad. He got to have that offensive line. He needs the Hogs. He needs Mr. Bostic back.
The thing I liked about RG3, though, when they interviewed him in post-game, and he said, it's my fault because I got to get this thing turned around. He took the responsibility, took the blame. I like that in his part.
And that's a leader.
Didn't
That's
make
what
excuses.
Yeah, that's what a leader does. A leader always take the blame when it's the fault of the team, and he know he can come back and make things happen. That's RG3, man, and he's a class act. You know, like you said, national TV say, I take the blame. We got to do something about it. And Cam Newton had that same approach, but those guys they're just gonna have to find a win.
You're thinking about another team or two. We had talked about Appalachian, slow start 0-2. What about Wake Forest? They're 1-2. Two games I think they should have won. They lost would be that Boston College game on the road on a Friday night, and they also lost that Saturday game to Louisiana Monroe. I thought they would beat Louisiana Monroe at home.
Yeah, and sometimes, you know, you can take a team for granted, but as I always say, you have to play every down. You can't, it doesn't matter name of a team, and, you know, to jump back, Appalachian State so used to beating A&T, so, you know, they looking past A&T, this is going to be a walk in the park, and hey, fourth quarter, you look up on the scoreboard and you down by 2 touchdowns, you know, hey, so things change, and like you say with Wake Forest, with Monroe, you just knew that they was going to go, that's going to be the walk in the park, but you can't never look beyond the game that you have to play.
Yeah, college-wise, you look at Duke's now 2-1. They got beat by Georgia Tech last week. Bad Lee out of Durham Hillside wore them out.
Touchdowns, that's right.
He wore them out. Now they got to turn around, and North Carolina's going to go to Georgia Tech this coming week to take on Bad Lee, taking Chris Francis, who's a Carolina running back, going down to Georgia Tech to face Bad Lee, who's a quarterback, both guys at a Durham Hillside, and Carolina's going to have their hands full against Georgia Tech.
Yeah, they're going to have their hands with the Yellow Jackets. Georgia Tech is a totally different team than they used to be in the ACC. Georgia Tech now is for real because they have a guy that you and I watch play Bad Lee. He is going to be something special.
He's tough. He's really tough. What about these high school games quickly? Northeast and Eastern Guilford, who you leaning toward there? I'm
leaning towards Eastern Guilford. They haven't beat Northeast in the last 5 years. Talking to a lot of the Eastern Guilford family and Northeast family, and that's one of the biggest backyard brawls in Guilford County. That's a backyard fight, and you know, because you have a lot of guys from Northeast married ladies from Eastern. You have a lot of Eastern guys married Northeast.
Well, one of our advertisers, Tim Rich, was Sprinkle #1, the oil change specialist down on East Market Street, 2918 East Market to be exact. Tim Rich, he's from Northeast, right, and his wife is from Eastern Guilford.
Right, that's exactly
just like
right.
You're talking about.
Yeah, and you see a lot of that. Matter of fact, one of the gentlemen came over to do some work for me at my business today. He's a big-time Eastern, he married into the Eastern family, but he's a Northeast man, and his children one daughter go to Northeast, and one graduated from Eastern, so it's going to be a big family attire tomorrow. You don't know, they have Ram and they have Wildcat.
Wow, that's a wild animal right there, brother. Wild animal, half Ram, half Wildcat.
Yeah, it's a backyard battle, and they're only 7 minutes apart. Across the railroad track, either a direction on McLeansville Road, and you're going to go to Northeast or you're going to go to Eastern.
What about Page and Eastern Side? Have you given Page any chance in that game?
Yeah, you got to give Page a chance, but you know, as you told me, and we talked earlier, Eastern Side is for real. And last year we had a chance to see Eastern Side play. They had a great quarterback, good receiver. So Eastern Side is going to be ready for Page Pirates.
What about Southern, Guilford, and Smith.
Andy, you know that Southern Guilford is bound to get one, and if they're going to get one, it's going to be...
They picked up one win. They did win one. They
got one last week. Yeah, if they're going to get another one, it's going to be... and Smith going to get another one, it's going to be... I think Smith is on a roll now. They're believing in the whole Dudley coaches, past coaches that is there, and like you and I talked about, that'll make a good matchup if Smith beat them, but I'm leaning towards Golden Eagles on that one.
What about Grimsley, Mount Tabor? Mount Tabor just beat Butler last week. What about Grimsley and Mount Tabor?
Mount Tabor is going to be a little too much for Grimsley. Once Grimsley lost against Andrews, it seemed like they just lost the momentum they had after their 2 games they won. Yeah. And so once you're going against a team like Mount Tabor's just too experienced for a team like Grimsley.
Northwest has got Reagan, and Reagan played, I think it was East Forsyth last week, to like a 35-33 game. So Reagan, Northwest, that's going to be a tough one for Northwest. So Northwest just steamrolled Reedsville.
Yeah, you're exactly right, Andy. As you said, they lost that one to Northern, and then they go and pick up and just went and just handle business like a totally different team.
Yeah.
And all depends on, could they be a Jekyll and Hyde team, which one shows up. And it's going to be very interesting in that game tomorrow night. You're going to have a good team. Reagan defense is going to have their hands full if Northwest can get that 41-42 buck sweep.
Yeah, that's tough.
They got to get that buck sweep cranked up. If they can get that buck sweep working, which we didn't see it was a dud against Northern.
Yeah.
That was Coach, he was on the Coach Joe Woodruff. He was telling us about that buck sweep was their main play just about, and it didn't work that night against Northern. So if it's stifled against Reagan, so goes the Northwest.
So thinking about any other surprises, disappointments from you this season, kind of closing things, close it down?
I think one of the other surprise that I see is High Point Central. I didn't know that they had that caliber team. I think you interviewed Coach Jones. You talked with Coach Jones during our 15 and 15 interview, and you told me that that was going to be a team that this team for him, even though he lost Will Johnson and lost a lot of the guys, Jamal Mack have came in, and Mack have shocked everybody.
Well, Mack's got like 700 and some yards passing.
Already passing.
1,200 total between passing and running.
And running, yeah.
I mean, Justin Johnson, the guy they had last year, was outstanding, but boy, Mack is looking to exceed what Johnson did.
Yeah, already. You're exactly right. And, and the thing about Coach Jones, he always have speed.
Yeah,
they're going to have the speed.
Yeah.
And once they derailed Andrews like they did in that first game, then people knew that they were for real. So, and that defense is doing outstanding as well. So under the leadership of Mr. Mack, I'm real surprised that they are where they are now, because I had Andrews going in to do what Andrews went last year, almost to the 4th round of the playoff. They lost that game against Salisbury, came in and beat them. That we had at the 3rd quarter, they was leading about 2 or 3 touchdowns, and so we thought that one was over. And they came back and they lost. Was it Rowan County? Was it Rowan? A team from Salisbury.
It might have been Salisbury,
yeah. And so that was, and I think another team that we talked about the Rams already. I was looking at Northeast under the new Coach Jackson to do a lot more. Normally, going into this game against Eastern is the one that have the record that Northeast have, and Northeast have the record that Eastern have.
Usually flip around. Right.
So that is a surprise. I thought that Northeast was going to get off to a good start for Coach Jackson, and for Coach Jackson's sake. Any team they want you to beat a lot of teams, but at Northeast you got to beat Eastern.
Got to beat Eastern, and you sure want to beat Northern. That's going to be a tough challenge too. Very tough challenge.
You got to beat Eastern. If you beat Eastern, a lot of the fans are kind of back you up. But if you go in tomorrow and the Wildcats beat you, it's going to be a hot seat for Coach Jackson.
And closing it out tonight, Shane's Rib Shack, Football in Focus for a Thursday. Dennis, again, your prediction on this big game tomorrow night between Eastern and Northeast?
Yeah, I've got it going in 21-14, dropped down to the last quarter. I think this game is going to be a hard-fought burner because you can't expect nothing other if Eastern can be efficient in the offense, then the defense and special teams. There's 3 phases to a ball game: offense, defense, and special teams. So if they can win 2 out of the 3, Eastern beat them by 21-14 is my guess.
I'm definitely taking Eastern. I ain't got a score for you yet, but I'm definitely taking Eastern Guilford as well.
Yeah, I agree, which I'm certainly taking Eastern in that. And then it's going to be jam-packed tomorrow, so the little midgets, they need to come on and sit at the gate because it's going to be early. It's going to be jam-packed. I'm excited, man. I like these backyard battles.
Oh, they're big. Going to be big game. Eastern Guilford and Northeast at Eastern tomorrow night. Greensboro Sports Radio, greensborosports.com. Check it out there. Check out Dennis White there tomorrow night. Looking for that game with Dennis. He'll be full steam ahead, Mr. Dennis White.
Yes.
And we're going to wrap it up at Shane's Rib Shack for this Thursday. Again, we want to thank Dan Collins, ACC Basketball Book of Fame. He was here earlier, left us, went over to Friendly Center for his book signing at Barnes & Noble. And get that book with Dan. Be sure to check that out at Barnes & Noble on the shelves there now. Also at Dan's basketball blog. Let's see. My Take on Wake is his blog. My Take on Wake with Dan Collins, Country Dan Collins, out of the University of North Carolina. We also had tonight with us at Shane's Rib Shack, checked in with Heath Justice, also spoke with Marlon Petty and Josh Edwards from Eastern Guilford. Good night tonight, another solid show. And Dennis, we'll see you on Friday night.
I'm looking forward to it. I missed you last
week. That's right.
But I'm back in the
said you listened to the game on the way back from South Carolina.
Yes, sir. Don, outstanding job on Don Moore part. I was almost wanting to talk, but I couldn't say could nobody hear me. But let the window down. It's just holler.
It's a different feeling though. You're listening back to the game and you're not there.
Yeah, it is, man. And it was awesome, Andy. I mean, and I like the part you were saying that the band just wanted to perform forever. You couldn't wait.
That hillside band kept rolling, yeah. In fact, I tried to get out of the parking lot. I couldn't get out of the parking lot. I had to wait for the band to walk back across the parking lot. I had to wait on the hillside. The policeman stopped us and said, we're going to let this band get across. They were still playing.
They were still playing.
They were still rolling on.
As you say, the band play on throughout the night. They wanted to play back on 40.
How'd you pick up the game?
Yeah, I have iTunes. On my phone, I have TuneIn, and that's an app that you can get. And on that application, with the iPhone, you can listen to all the radio stations. And the only thing you had to do is click in Greensboro Sports. Don Moore turned me on to that, and I listened to it in my sleep. After all games, matter of fact, I go back and critique myself and let the family listen to it. Then see how many nouns I broke, how many words I didn't pronounce right. And my English teacher said, you should say this, be like Andy Durham, pause, and go to Andy Durham Grammar School. So I learned a lot from it.
Hey, good stuff, Dennis.
All right.
Keep up the good work, my man.
Yes, sir.
Looking forward to seeing Nathan White coming back in town, too, on Friday.
From the camp you was at.
I have been at that camp. I almost grew up at that camp, the Wiles camp, as a kid, no doubt about it.
Dennis, it helped you a lot. The camp helped you.
Oh, yeah.
Real good.
Good foundation. Thank you, Dennis.
Real good. Always good, Ed.
Yes, sir. That's going to do it for Shane's Rib Shack Football and Focus on a Thursday. We'll see you back here next week. Take care.